Everybody, welcome back to the Rebel Chum channel. Today I want to discuss something that I think is relatively important, and I want to know from you guys, do you care about it or not? But to me, the weight of the lightsaber is very important for a few distinct reasons. One is the feel in your hand without a blade, first and foremost. How does the lightsaber feel? It also comes together with the diameters and the length of the hilt and the shape of the hilt, and if it has greeblies, control box and whatnot. But the weight really is one of the determining factor to me if I'm gonna like the lightsaber or not. It's really weird, but it's really important to me. So I personally prefer the lightsabers that are a little bit on the heavier side. So I most of the time weight all my lightsabers. In my reviews you always can see how many grams, lb, whatever the lightsaber weighs. Now I noticed that I always lean towards the weight of saber forged sabers, for a few reasons. It has a little bit of a heft to it. They're not the lightest lightsaber. If you compare them with, for example, Vader's Fold. Vader's Fold is a very slim, thin hilt design, but they're also very lightweight. The same for Electrum Saber Crest. Very lightweight sabers, packed full with features. And although I really love both brands, I really do. You can see that I have a whole bunch of reviews done for them, and I own a whole bunch of their products, of course, of that. But every time there's something about the weight that when I pick up a saber forged saber like this one, for example, I immediately feel more comfortable and it's more in my reign. So I feel like, yeah, this is a lightsaber. It's weird. Both are very much lightsabers, and it's come down to personal preferences. But for me, a lightsaber must have certain heft to it, especially if you put in a heavy gray blade from a certain length. Let's say 26, 32, 37 inch. It has to be compensated somehow by the hilt. If you just go for a mid-grade blade or thin wall blade, or just a trans wide blade, those blades in general are lighter than, for example, this saber forged heavy grade blade. But even despite that, I like my hilts to be a bit more on the heavier side, and that is around, I think, between 350 to 6 to 700 grams, between that range. That is my personal preference. I also reviewed, for example, the Corband's K4, which was around 600 grams empty, and then I get a little bit maybe on the turning point where I say that is maybe tipping it a little bit too much for me. There it's gonna be a little bit too heavy, because if you hang it off your belt and you have nearly 1 kg of lightsaber hanging off your belt, that's pushing it for me, for my body length, my weight, my posture, my strength. I feel like that is a little bit inconvenient to have that much weight hanging off your belt on the cover tech wheel or tri-ring, D-ring, whatever. But in this case, this is a perfect weight. This is a really nice weight to this saber forged adept. Now in this case I have a 26 inch Shoto heavy gray blade in there, just to show off in this video. But the weight is really important to me personally. The weight, how does it feel in the hand? Does it have a substantial weight to it? Because in my personal mind, I think lightsabers should have a certain weight to it, because they have a crystal inside, they have all these technology inside to power the lightsaber and whatnot. So in my mind, it feels right. The weight feels right, and it feels like, especially from the original trilogy standpoint, that lightsabers are not the lightest things. They're like utilitarian tools. They're very useful, but they're a little bit more on the clumsy side. Yes, they're elegant weapons, but they're a little bit clumsy because there's a lot of stuff going into getting a lightsaber, and that's why they're so scarce and they're hard to find in the galaxy. And it makes sense. It's not something it's not something that is super slim maybe it's also the time frame after the Empire. Palpatine destroyed most lightsabers from most killed Jedi and whatnot, so there isn't much on them available or to be found. So a lot of it is older. Maybe in the old Republic time, it was much more streamed, much more slim, and then that also have its appeal. And that's why, in my opinion, that's why Vader's Vault has that strength, especially with, for example, the Vader's Vault Acolyte. That to me screams Old Republic. It screams that was the peak of lightsaber technology, and yeah, I feel then it's appropriate the weight, the length, etc., and the thickness of the hilt. But in this case, because this feels more like, this is of the era of A New Hope, just before New Hope, Rogue One. So it's more like scrap parts. It's a little bit more clumsy. It's more, it's crude. It's a crude technology. It's a crude device, but it works, and that's why I like this Ezra Bridger lightsaber, because it's not super convenient. It's a little bit bulky. It's not fully sensical in terms of lightsaber design, and yeah, just the weight really contributes to the fact that I feel like this is a lightsaber. Especially in my mind, I always think about the scene where Obi-Wan is confronting Darth Vader and he holds the saber like this in his hand, around in this angle, and you can feel through the screen that it has a certain heft to that lightsaber. It's not super light. When he holds it like this, he holds it like very elegant, but you also cannot deny that there's a certain heft to it. It's not feather light. You can see that when he holds it up like that, and I love that. And that's my personal thing about it. So I want to know in the comments what you guys think. What is to you important about the weight of a lightsaber? Do you like it as lightweight as possible because you do a lot of dueling or spinning, and then weight is most importantly from a either a functional purpose, or is it because you just like light lightsabers and hanging them off your belt because it makes sense to you that they're feather light because the blade itself that ignites out of lightsaber is weightless? Or do you say, no, I want to have it as heavy as possible, the heavier the better, because I'm a Sith warrior and I want to feel the pain or maybe in between like me somewhere? And what is your preferred weight? Like what is the weight that you aiming for? Because a lot of times I feel that is an oversight for a lot of people. They like the looks of a lightsaber, they talk about the length, the specs, but not so much about the weight of a lightsaber. And to me, the weight of the lightsaber is almost as important as the looks, because that is how it feels in the hand, that is how it feels on the belt, that is how it feels with the blade in there. And the balance, etc., is really important with the different lengths of people and different lengths of blades, and the perception of what to you makes a lightsaber in terms of weight. So I think weight is really important, and I notice most saber companies never ever really put their focus on that by showcasing on their website how much the lightsaber weighs with the electronics. I think none of them actually do that. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never seen any of the websites, Vader's Vault, Saberforts, Electrum Sabercrafts, Saber Trio, how much their saber weights, because there's a big variation in between, and that also can help you to decide based for kids, for example, or whatever, to pick up a lightsaber. Especially with the Canon lightsabers, you will be surprised how much weight there is in there, and that's maybe offsetting for some people. I think, wow, this Corband K4 kit is more than half a kg just empty. Is that something I want to carry a lot with me? And then a lot of people realize once they have it, it's maybe not for them. It's more like a shelf queen or something instead of a piece they want to use a lot of times. Same with the Graflex kit, for example. So let me know in the comments. Really interesting topic to me. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later. Bye bye.